Welcome to the Wind Up with Will, everyone. I'm your host, Will, here again, and today we're going to talk about the Home Run Derby for the All Star, the Major League Baseball's All Star festivities, Major League Baseball's All Star Game, the trade deadline, and what's just kind of been going on the last couple weeks in baseball. But first, I want to say I apologize for being away for probably about 3 weeks now. I spent like a week moving, and I was kind of off that week and having to move, had some other things going on. I've just been trying to organize some stuff in my room. It's still not organized. I really need to do a little more, do some decorating. I've got thinking about putting some of my Murray State posters and stuff on this wall directly behind me here. Don't really know which way I'm going to be doing most of these. If I get a desk, probably be facing a different wall. So we'll see. I might have to move some stuff around. But getting into what we're talking about today, we're going to first talk about the 2024 Major League Baseball Home Run Derby, which was won by Teoscar Hernandez of the Los Angeles Dodgers. They talked about during the event that he had wanted to do this event for a while and never just had the opportunity to. He's hit quite a few home runs this year, at least he'd had by the All-Star break, so he was invited to participate. I think he was actually the last person put in the tournament, or one of the last people put in. And I really loved how they did this tournament this year. It kind of harkens back to old times, but it's also like kind of an amalgamation of several different variations they've done of the home run derby, and I think it's actually a pretty good format. So I'll kind of go into the format what it is right now. So in the first round, the contestants they get 40 pitches or 3 minutes, whichever comes first, and everyone's against everyone in the first round. All 8 batters are against one another. So at the end of round one, after each batter's had 40 pitches or their 3 minutes time elapses, it's up. It's over. But they are given one timeout as well each round. And then there is every batter, I think this is fair, gets bonus time. But in the bonus, there's no time limit in the bonus period. Every player gets, I believe it's 3 outs. Yes. Yeah, so every player gets 3 outs in the bonus period. Every swing that is not a home run is an out. So kind of bringing back some of the old rules, which I like. I liked it when every swing that wasn't a home run was an out. I think that made it like you had to be able to actually hit the ball. You couldn't just throw one after the other and swing as many times as you could, just trying to hit them out. And you had to I gotta take that pitch. So it's a little bit on who's pitching to you as well. So I liked it. Sorry, I just shook the camera. I liked some of the old rules, so I like that they have that. And if you hit a home run that travels 425 feet in the bonus round, you get an additional out, so you can get up to 4 outs in the bonus round. And then the semifinals, so after the first round, 4 of the contestants are eliminated. Everyone's against everyone, so it's just the 4 hit the most in the first round advance. I think it's probably a good thing and probably cuts out on players getting tired from doing like swing offs in the first round, which are cool. Swing offs are cool to watch. It's just I think it's a little unfair that you could be paired up with someone and both of you hit a ton of home runs and one of you's got to get eliminated. Whereas doing it where everyone's against everyone in the first round, you make sure that the guys who hit the home runs in the first round and do well are rewarded. So then you have a semifinals where you actually pair up based on the home runs in the first round. The person who hits the most versus the person who hits the least. And then the other two face each other. And then the winners of that face in the finals. And they do they do similar format. It's the same rules as the first round. You get 40 pitches or 3 minutes. And then same rules for the bonus round. The finals, they actually change a bit. The time limit is shortened to 2 minutes, and the pitch limit is shortened to 27 pitches. The timeout and bonus period rules remain the same. I'm going off the Wikipedia page because it's been several weeks, so I haven't I haven't looked at the rules. I remember the event happening. I remember the rules. It's just I'm reading them, so I make sure I get them right and don't misquote anything. So Teoscar Hernandez won the home run derby. He beat Bobby Witt Jr. in the finals. My guy Pete Alonso, who I picked to win it over Gunnar Henderson in the finals, he didn't make it out of the first round. He hit the second least home runs, and Gunnar Henderson, who I picked him to beat, had the least amount of home runs in the first round. So both those guys were eliminated. I think I also said Marcelo Zuna, I thought was going to do well. He didn't. He hit the third least amount of home runs. I did get one guy right, though. I think I did say, if I remember my predictions, I said Alec Bohm would make it to like the semifinals. And he made it to the semifinals. He hit 21. He's tied for the most home runs in the first round. And then he went out to Bobby Witt Jr. in the second round. Bobby Witt Jr. put on a show. He looked great. Teoscar Hernandez put on a show, hit some bombs. It was a fun event. I like this new format. I think it can be tweaked a little bit. I still think they need to try and keep players from just throwing as many because, I guess the pitch limit does do that to some extent, but I think part of what makes the home run derby great is actually watching the home run balls, and when you as the viewer at home or the person in the stadium watching it are watching one home run, by the time you look back, they've already swung and hit another one. So I think that takes away from it a little bit. I think there needs to be go back to where there was an umpire behind home plate telling the pitcher, hey, we're going to wait till this one lands before you can throw again. I think that's better just simply for the sake of the viewers, because this is what this is about. The home run derby is solely for the viewers. It is the most exhibition event out there, and it's so fun. It is for the fans, and it's why they try and get guys like Pete Alonso to do it every year, or why I think part of the reason Pete Alonso likes to do it is because it's for the fans. The fans enjoy this. Sorry, my face is kind of dark. My light. I need to get me like an above light. I need to get myself a real studio here. Maybe I can get like a boom mic and some lighting above me, make it real official. But it's for the fans. I think that is the biggest thing I would change right away. I'm still not a huge fan of the clock, but it's never going away, especially since back in the day, like this event could take like 5 hours. So I think the clock probably is needed at this point. I think it does incentivize players to swing instead of taking 10 pitches in a row. But I do like the addition of the outs. Maybe that can be worked a little more into the actual rounds, as well as maybe you're given like 21 outs a round or something like that. So 21 swings that aren't home runs, something to that effect. I think it'd be tweaked a little more. But overall, I think this was a good format. It's a much better direction than just simply the bracket format that they've done the last few years, which is interesting and it's cool, and you get to see the swing offs. The one year where they had the swing off between that great round between Jock Peterson and Vladimir Guerrero Jr., probably one of the best home run derby rounds ever between those two. It's unfortunate that one of them had to be eliminated, and I think that's why they want to steer away from the bracket, at least until the semifinals, is they want guys who hit a bunch of home runs to be rewarded and not feel like they got robbed by just having to face another guy who hit a bunch of home runs. So I think at least having the first round where it's a free for all and everyone's against one another, I think is good. Now I do think another change that I want to make is you should, and believe we had it this year. We did. I don't know if this was intentional or just happenstance, but the last few years they've ignored it, and I really don't like it. Is there needs to be an even amount of National League and American League players in this event. The All-Star game, the All-Star festivities, this is all about what has come out of the All-Star game. The greatest All-Star game in the world is Major League Baseball's. It is the oldest All-Star game. It is the best All-Star game. This used to be like heated rivalry, like almost like a blood rivalry between these two leagues, because the only two times these players would play one another. It's not like the NFL, the NHL, the NBA. Only in more recent years has MLB been a little more like that. Interleague play didn't exist. This isn't just simply, I guess on paper now the leagues are more like conferences, and so you have interleague play all the time. But before the late 90s, the leagues didn't play one another during the regular season. They were two independent leagues under a bigger league. So kind of like how the United Kingdom is a country of countries. It's a country of England, Wales, Scotland, and Northern Ireland, and each of those are their own countries. The United Kingdom is a country of countries. Major League Baseball is a league of two leagues, the National League and the American League. And that's just how it operated. Each league had its own regular season. At one point, they had their own umpires. They had their own league presidents. Like they were far more independent. They didn't play one another during the regular season outside of a few exhibitions every now and then to raise money for charity or spring training. But the only two times really that the teams faced one another, outside of spring training, which is I guess you can count, but it's really exhibition and just mostly guys trying to make the team. It's not serious games. They don't matter. The only two times that the players would face one another would be in the World Series at the end of the year or the All-Star game. So there's a lot of history and a lot of heated history in the All-Star game. So out of that, when the Home Run Derby forms, there's an incentive to have an even amount of National League and American League players, and it's which league is going to win. I remember this like 11 years ago when the Mets hosted the All-Star game back in 2013. David Wright was the captain of the Home Run Derby. I think he was voted it. At one point, you could vote for the, and that needs to be brought back as well as at least voting for one person for the Home Run Derby, even if that makes them captain or something like that, because each league captain would then pick the other guys to be on the Home Run Derby team for the National League or the American League. And while it was still a competition, you individually wanted to win it, there was a little bit of pride of we want one of our guys from our league to win it over their league. So there was that. I remember that being a conversation, David Wright being interviewed about what guys is he going to pick to be on the Home Run Derby. And Matt Kemp, I think the year before, was the Home Run Derby captain and being asked similar questions in an interview. So I remember this happening, and I think that there needs to be something like that, either a Home Run Derby captain or you vote for someone. But I do think at the very least that it needs to be even National League and American League players because it's fun. It represents both leagues, and it's another added bit of which league is going to win. Which league is going to have their best guy win it all. So I think that needs to be a part. And at least it was this year. You had 4 National League guys, 4 American League guys. Yeah, so that was the Home Run Derby this year. Moving on to the All-Star game. The All-Star game was very fun. A lot more runs scored than I think the past 2 or 3 years at least. And it was very star-studded. You had a lot of young players, a lot of players making their first All-Star game appearances. Paul Skeens started the game, Livy Dunn's boyfriend. He started the game, and he got the top of the American League lineup out. He got Stephen Kwan to pop out to shortstop. Gunnar Henderson grounded out to Paul Skeens. Juan Soto drew a walk. That's a real shocker there. And Aaron Judge grounded in a fielder's choice to third. So he didn't get any strikeouts, but he settled down the top part of the lineup. And so people were excited to see him play in the game. I'm sorry, it's been several weeks, so I'm having to look at the box score and everything. Now, in the top of the third, the American League were hosting this game at I'm blanked for a second. It was Arlington, Texas. The Rangers got to host the All-Star game. They won the World Series last year. They got to host the All-Star game this year. There was a lot of Rangers on the team and their manager because they made it. There was another fun fact. Whichever manager, the managers from the teams that played in the World Series are the managers for the All-Star game the following year. So not Jeff Bannister, he was the former manager. Bruce Bochy, who is the current manager of the Rangers, won the World Series last year. He managed the All-Star game this year. So they get to host the All-Star game. Their manager is also the manager of the American League. It's a little bit cool there for the Rangers. But in the top of the third, Shohei Ohtani, like I said, in my prediction, this is the only thing I got right in this. The American League won 5-3. I said the National League would win. I think I said they would win 5-4 in a good close game, and Shohei Ohtani would hit a home run. That's the only thing I got right out of my prediction was that Shohei Ohtani hit a home run. He hit a 3-run home run in the top of the third, giving the National League a 3-0 lead, and then the American League chipped away at the lead. Soto doubling in the bottom of the third to score Stephen Kwan and Marcus Semien, make it 3-2, and then David Fry singled, scoring Soto to tie the game, and then in the bottom of the fifth, Jarren Duran homered, had a 2-run home run with Anthony Santander scoring. And Jarren Duran was the American League, the All-Star MVP. He is an American League All-Star, but he is the All-Star MVP for this event. He hit the game-winning home run. It was in the fifth inning, no score after that. The winning pitcher was, who'd they give the win to? Mason Miller of the Athletics. The losing pitcher was Hunter Green of the Reds. And the pitcher that got the save was Emmanuel Clase of the Cleveland Guardians. Probably the best closer. No, not probably. Is the best closer in the game right now. So the American League won. They had previously been on like a 9-year stretch of winning it until last year when the National League finally broke that win streak. And it looks like the American League's trying to make another streak now after winning this year's All-Star game. And this was back on July 16th, I believe, was this game. Yeah, July 16th, Tuesday night. So it's been about 3 weeks, I think. So sorry again that I've been out that long, but I'm back now. A lot has happened in that time. The Major League Baseball's trade deadline has come and gone, and so I'm going to try and go over a few of the trades. A lot of trades happened. If I had been doing this consistently every day, I could have broke them in almost real time, perhaps. But we've got several weeks to make up on of trades. So we're going to start with MLB ranked. Had a little trouble finding something that condensed all the trades into one article where I could just kind of read them off for everyone. So I'm just going to go off of what MLB Network has as their the trade deadline winners and try and mention several others if I can, or if I can remember them. So first up, the Cardinals, they got Eric Fedde from, I believe they got him, where'd they get him from? They got him from the White Sox, and they got Tommy Pham back as well, who previously played for the Cardinals. He played for my Mets as well, just last year, I believe. Sorry. They've got multiple articles pulled up here. Yeah, so the Cardinals got Eric Fedde and Tommy Pham back. So they got Tommy Pham back. They got Eric Fedde, one of the starting pitcher to add to their roster. The Cardinals have needed a little more pitching, but they also probably need hitting as well. The Cardinals have kind of been a team that's just kind of even. Like they're kind of good in several areas, but they're also like very veteran heavy. And so if there's injuries, they don't necessarily have the best guys behind them, or they're having to call up really young guys. So they needed some depth there, and they got that. They also got Sean Alexander from the Rays, a relief pitcher. The Dodgers, they got Jack Flaherty from the Tigers, who did not do so very well for the Orioles last year when he went to them at the end of the season. But this year with the Tigers, he was doing better. The Dodgers traded and got him. They also added Michael Kopech and Amid Rosario, former Met, Kevin Kiermaier, and Tommy Edman. The Mariners got Randy Arozarena from the Rays and Justin Turner from the Blue Jays. My New York Mets, we got Paul Blackburn, a starting pitcher for the Athletics. That helps bolster our starting pitching. We definitely need that, especially after Kodai Senga, who had been out all year, comes back. Pitched against the Braves, had a phenomenal start, had, I believe, 11 strikeouts in the game. Looked like he was about to get out of the inning. and on his way to his first win and setting the tone for the Mets down the stretch, and he injures himself on a ball put in play, running out to field, and just falls down, injures his leg, and is out for the season. I'm trying to remember what the exact injury was. It wasn't Achilles. I think it was maybe now obliques. I'm gonna have to look this up because I'm blanking on what his official injury was. Sorry, I'm getting sidetracked here. I want to get this right. Left calf, that's what it was. Left calf, high grade strain. He's out for the rest of the year with that. So big blow to my Mets there, losing him. So they need to go out and get Paul Blackburn. We also added Jesse Winker, a left-handed bat. Also, former Mets enemy for when he was with the Reds, heckling Mets fans in a series at Citi Field one year, and infamously waving at the fans after the Reds beat us one game. So when he came to the Mets, a lot of Mets fans were waving at him, which is kind of cool and funny at the same time that we can joke around and he's now a part of our team. The Orioles, I think they did really well to trade in on him. They got Zach Eflin from the Rays. I think he's a good starting pitcher for them. They got Trevor Rogers from the Marlins, who's also going to slot to the rotation. That's probably been the Orioles' biggest issue. And maybe I shouldn't say issue because they're one of the best teams. One of their weaker sides has been their starting pitching, and getting some more rotation help there is going to be good. Corbin Burns has been terrific for them. He was in the All-Star game. Did he start the All-Star game? Maybe I should have mentioned that a while ago when I had the box score pulled up. Corbin Burns started the All-Star game for the American League. I thought he did. So he's been phenomenal for the Orioles, but they needed a little more help there getting Zach Eflin and Trevor Rogers from Eflin from the Rays, Rogers from the Marlins. They also got Eloy Jimenez from the White Sox. This guy is extremely talented but has trouble staying on the field. He's had a lot of injury problems. So getting him is interesting for them, strengthening their lineup a little bit more there, which they have a great lineup anyways. The Phillies went out and got Tanner Banks, a reliever. They also got Austin Hayes from the Orioles. The Royals got Paul DeYoung from the White Sox. Lucas Ehrig, I believe he's a pitcher from the Athletics. Yeah, they got him from the A's and Paul DeYoung from the White Sox. The Atlanta Braves, they got Jorge Soler, the World Series MVP from a few years ago when they won it. They got him back in a trade with the Giants. And also Luke Jackson, they got him back. I'm trying to think of any others that stood out to me. The Diamondbacks got Josh Bell, first baseman, which I thought was kind of interesting since Christian Walker has been their first baseman and has done really well for them this year. But they got another bat in their lineup, probably slotting at DH. Him and Walker might rotate at DH and first base. So I'm trying to think of anything else, any other deadline deals. Well, I think on that we're gonna move on. We're gonna move on and talk about the White Sox historic losing season as well. The White Sox lost 21 games in a row that ended this past week before they finally won a game. 21 games in a row they lost. That tied the 1988 record by the Baltimore Orioles, who started that season 0-21, the worst start ever to a season. Now this is the worst. If I can find the article again that I had pulled up earlier, this is the worst. The White Sox are on pace. They're currently 28-20. Sorry, that's not up to date. That was a few days ago. Let me get their current record. The White Sox current record is 28-90. So they've played 118 games. They've got 50 54 more games to go. I I really don't think that they're going to break the modern record. So the modern record is held, unfortunately, by my Mets. 40 and 120. That was the Mets' first year ever in 1960. That's the record in the modern era in terms of losses. Horrible year for the Mets. Our first year in existence, we did very bad, which I'm very much looking forward to the White Sox beating that this year because they're on pace to do it. They've been horrible. They traded away a bunch of their players. Um, it, they're just not a well-run organization at the moment. They're really bad. Um, they're going to break the record for. They're going to have the worst record ever this year. It's going to happen. They're going to have more than 120 losses. If they go, so they got 54 more games to go, so that's 20. So if they were to just if they were to win half of those 27 games, they would be 55 and 107. I don't see them winning half of those games. Let's say they win. They would need to win. They would need to win 13 more games out of the 54 left to avoid that record. Now it's possible they could just out of nowhere hit a winning streak. It happens in baseball all the time, but the way they've played, they are very much on pace to break the worst record of all time. They need, how many more losses do they need? They need 31 more losses to break the record out of the remaining 54 games. Yeah, I think they're breaking it. I think that they're breaking it. It's unfortunate. Now reading the article that I had pulled up, they're actually according to the AP, they're on pace to finish 39 and 123. It would be the worst record since the National League's Cleveland Spiders back in 1899 went 20 and 134. 20 wins and 134 losses. That's not the modern record. The modern record is the Mets. I believe the modern era starts at 1901 since the American League formed. So in the modern era, the Mets have the record. It's unfortunate that the modern era started a couple years after the Cleveland Spiders there, but I think the White Sox are going to absolve the Mets of this, and we won't be the laughing. It's funny how the turntables, the torch is being passed on. The Mets are not looked down upon as this incompetent franchise quite as much anymore with new ownership. David Stearns is leading the team in the right direction. The Mets have been on this record winning pace since the beginning of June, since Grimace came into our lives. He's actually been, I'll show you. It's actually my wallpaper right now. Like, just change the Mets season. The Mets have actually had the best record in baseball since the beginning of June. So the Mets have played phenomenally. We have been in competition for the wild card at the moment with the Braves, Cardinals, Padres, and Diamondbacks. Currently, the Mets have the third wild card. The Diamondbacks are 2.5 up with the second wild card, and the Padres are 3.5 up with first wild card. The Braves are half game out of the wild card. The Cardinals a game and a half out. The Giants 2 out. The Cubs 4 out. The Cubs are actually 2 games under 500, and the Pirates are only 4.5 out. The Reds are 5 out. And then the Nationals 8.5 out, and then the Marlins and Rockies are both 18.5 out. I don't think those teams are getting in the mix. The White Sox are 36.5 games out of the wild card, if anyone wanted to know that, in the American League. The American League, the Yankees have the top wild card spot, 5 games up. The Twins have the second, 2 games up, and the Royals have the last wild card spot, only a game and a half in front of Boston and 3 games in front of Seattle. Tampa Bay, despite their bad season and trading off some of their talent, are only 5 games out, so they could theoretically go on a run, and then everyone after that's 9 games back or farther. The defending World Series champions, the Texas Rangers, are 54 and 62, 9.5 games out of the wild card. Excuse me. So they're a little ways back there. The current division leaders, if you didn't already know, the Baltimore Orioles have the best record in baseball currently. Actually, I take that back. They almost have the best record in baseball, the 69-48 record, tied with the Yankees for the American League East lead. Whoever, and currently the Orioles hold the tiebreaker, so the Yankees would be the wild card team. The American League Central is led by the Guardians, the Cleveland Guardians at 67-49, Indians, Guardians, Ians, whatever you want to call them. The American League West is led by the Houston Astros, 60-55. They got off to a horrible start, but as I said and a lot of other people said, they were going to come back and lead this division. They're currently tied with the Mariners for the division lead. The Mariners have one more win and one more loss than the Astros, which means they have a slightly worse winning percentage, which means the Astros currently lead the division. That's going to be an interesting race to finish because we could see whoever wins that division whoever loses that division not making the wild card spot. And the Astros have made the playoffs every year since 2017. The last time they missed the playoffs was 2016, and the year before that they made the playoffs back in 2015. The Astros have been really a dynasty in MLB in recent years, so it's hard to imagine them outside of the playoffs, but if they choke down the stretch, the Mariners could win the division, they could miss the playoffs. Because the American League wild card has been great with the Yankees, the Red Sox have been competitive, and the Twins and Royals having phenomenal years. In the National League, the Philadelphia Phillies have the best record in baseball, 69-47, a half game in front of the Orioles and Yankees, 8.5 in front of the second place, or 8 games in front of the Mets, and 8.5 games in front of the Braves. I think they have the division on locks, but as we've seen in years past with my Mets choking the division away, you never know. You never know. You got to believe. In the National League Central, the Milwaukee Brewers have a 7-game lead on the Cardinals. They've had great hitting so far this season. Christian Yelich has had an injury that sidelined him for at least a little bit. I don't know if he is still out. I'm going to check their roster real quick. Yeah, it looks like he is still on the injured list currently. So that could hurt them a bit. And the Cardinals have been playing better, and they're only 7 out, so you never know. But that is a big lead, and especially for a Cardinals team that's kind of been up and down, up and down, up and down. I kind of think the Brewers have that division on lock, at least for the moment. The Dodgers lead the West, 67-49 record, and the Padres are 2.5 games back at 65-52. The Diamondbacks are 3.5 back at 64-53. For how much money the Dodgers have spent, they really don't have a lead like they probably should. Now, Mookie Betts has been injured, and he missed the All-Star game for that. A lot can change here. I think at the moment a lot of people kind of see a Phillies-Orioles World Series, and I think that very well could be the case. They look like two of the best teams in baseball. We could get a Yankees-Phillies World Series rematch of 2009. Or we could get one of the wildcard teams. We could get a rematch of the 2015 World Series, the Mets and Royals. You never know. I think it's really exciting right now, especially for me being a Mets fan, where we've got a chance to make the playoffs. And like I've said to a lot of people, the year you least expect us to do good is the year we actually might do something. In years past where it's like, oh, we're on fire, we're winning the division, we're going to the World Series. And then this year it's kind of, oh, we suck. Oh, Grimace is coming to our lives. We're not so bad again anymore. We might make the playoffs. And then you never know. You get in, you can win it all. That's how baseball goes. If you just make the playoffs, you can win it all. I believe that's all I've got for this video. I don't have anything else. I've just been kind of rambling on for a few minutes now. Probably should do better at planning out these videos in the future. But I thank you for watching and sticking around these several weeks waiting for me to come back. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. How should the Home Run Derby be done? What are your thoughts on the All-Star Game, the MLB trade deadline, and who is going to win the World Series this year? Let me know in the comments down below, and I will see y'all in the next video. Bye-bye.